Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here is going to be a review and demonstration on the DeVilbiss SRI Pro Lite. Now we're going to do a bit of an unboxing, and that is the first time I've ever unboxed this. That holographic seal had been broken. Now that's no reason to go and start panicking and believing that you've gone and got a non-genuine gun. The reason that happens sometimes is because there's so many setups in these guns. There's so many different variables and options that you can buy when you get one of these guns that sometimes the distributor will say buy 20 of them. They will buy what they think are going to be the most popular setups, but then they might get towards the end of that stock and then find out, well, this guy wants a 1.0, but we've only got one box left and it's got the 1.2 in it, so we'll carefully unbox it, we'll put the right part in there, and off we go. So no need to panic about that, but yeah, I have had a few people say, oh, I think I've gone and got myself a rip-off copy DeVilbiss because the seal has been broken. And some people do actually do that. They'll buy the genuine DeVilbiss, they'll get cheap Chinese rip-offs that look all the same, but they've got cheap parts in them, and then they'll go and resell it to you. So the best advice I can give you is buy from a reputable seller. But if the box has been opened and you're buying it from a reputable seller, you should usually be pretty right. Otherwise, just be careful. If you're buying on eBay from someone you've never really heard of before, obviously be careful. So there is quite a lot of setups available in this gun. Now I've got the TE5 Air cap on it. There is also HV5 and you've got MC1. Now the MC1 is basically like a airbrush style, really. It's like very micro. So that'll come with a 0.6 and it'll be very fine atomization. I wouldn't recommend that to most people. So most people, I would just say go with the TE5 1.2. You could even go to 1.0 if you were doing more wheels and smaller parts. But for this kind of use, like spot repairs, with solvent-based paint and clear coats, I would just say go to TE5 1.2. Most workshops, most panel shops and stuff like that, just get this setup that I have here. So the tip sizes go right from on the MC1, which I mentioned before, you can go right down to 0.6. and that's the only setup that you can get in the MC1. So you can't, if you want the MC1, you can't get a 1.2, you can't get a 0.8, a 1.0 or a 1.4. You'll only be able to get the 0.6. But as I say, most people that won't really apply for. My brother used to be a bit of a nerd back in the day, and he used to get into Warhammer 40,000. So they had these miniatures and they'd set these battles up. So something like that, the MC1 and the 0.6 setup, that'd probably be ideal for painting models and miniatures and stuff like that. But this kind of use, yeah, just wouldn't be enough material coming out. But for the HV5 and the TE5, you've got a selection of anywhere from 0.8 to 1.0, 1.2 and 1.4. Excuse that footage, that's just me putting down my wet bed or base coat blender. So that's just straight 599, as you can see. Now we're back onto the minigun again and I'm doing my blend. So I like to get my areas covered and then give it a good tack rag, and then I'll put my blender down, and then I'll put my last coat of base coat down over that wet bed before it's actually sort of flashed off. I'll then sit there with the air, blow it down, make sure I'm happy with the blends. I might need to dust a little bit more over the top of it and see how we go. But as you can see, I'm running it just over 2 bars, so that's basically just over 30 PSI if you're an American, and you can see it's laid that metallic down quite nicely. So I've actually wanted one of these guns for quite some time. The main thing that's kept me away is the price. I couldn't really justify the price tag for a minigun. Yep, when it's a full-size gun and you're a everyday daily finisher painting panels, you can sort of justify the $500 or so, $600 for a Pro Lite, something like that, because you're going to get daily use out of it and you'll get your money's worth out of it. But for a minigun, these actually have came down in price in the last couple of years. I was looking at these about 2 years ago. You were paying around $450, $500. Whereas now I've actually just had a look on eBay again, and you can get them for around sort of $350, $400, yeah, low 400s, high 300s is about the going rate. Now look, personally my benchmark for mini spray guns at the moment is the ANI R150. Few reasons for that. It sprays really well. It's capable of doing larger panels and smaller intricate work like wheels and stuff like that. but it's also not stupidly expensive. You're looking at about 150 AU dollars, so it's probably cheaper in the US, and I think you're about 75 British pounds. Truth be told, the main thing that really sets the SRI Pro Lite apart from the ANI is that it seems to have a little bit of a finer atomization with the air cap I'm using at the moment. As I said before, the TE5, you can get inside those little edges around that fog light really well, and I'm not risking overloading, getting runs. If I was using a full-size gun, most likely I'd be able to do it, but it takes a bit more experience to not get runs in there. But with a gun like this, it's just effortless, and you don't have to worry about overloading your paint. But also the thing that sets this gun apart from the ANI R150 is the options to change air caps. The fluid tips seem to be, there's a few more fluid tip options, and yeah, look, you've probably got slightly better build quality. At the end of the day, you do get what you pay for, but is it, you know, twice as good as the R150? Probably not. I guess the other way you could look at it is, let's just say you're going to estimate to get 10 years of daily use out of your DeVilbiss. You might say, well, I can get 4 years of daily use out of my R150, and I can get 2 of them. That will last me 8 years, but I've managed to save a couple of bucks in the meantime and have a new gun when it did shit itself. So yeah, look, the pots are one let down on the R150s. That's not to say that they're terrible. Like, I've had one for over a year, probably a year and a half now, and it hasn't actually totally shut itself. Whereas that minigun that you saw me spraying that fade out thinner with, was actually funny. The day that this gun came in was the day that I went to grab that minigun, and the lid had actually split. So maybe I'd over tightened it, but I didn't recall actually seeing it split in my hands, because I leave the fade out thinner in there. Maybe the thinner had expanded the pot or something like that, and it's just gone and shit itself. You would not expect that from a DeVilbiss product. They're usually built to a higher quality standard than a lot of the cheaper things. As you can see there, we've got our sulfur knife finish. I was able to use it for the base coat and the clear coat, and it's a beautiful looking gun, especially with the ANI regulator on it. Now, one more thing, you can see that there's the filter that sits in the top of the pot. You can also get a extra large pot, as you can see here. Now, that'd be ideal for people that want to do mainly wheels or mainly spot repairs, smart repairs. If you're one of those mobile paint guys and you still want to do a bumper bar here or there, or a door here or there, you can fit a bit more paint into that larger pot, so that could be handy to have. As far as the regulators go, truth be told, I don't think you really need them. They've got an air control valve on them. I mainly use them so that I can actually tell you guys and just gauge exactly what pressure I'm using. And then I can tell you guys in the videos, but you can usually just do it by ear. Watch yourself spraying. If it's going on too chunky and thick, orange peely, turn the pressure up a bit. If you got too much overspray and the gun is over atomizing and you're not getting any an even fan, whereas all the paint is spraying top and bottom heavy, but then you need to lower your pressure a little bit. Just find that sweet spot basically. So that was a quick look at the car when it just rolled straight out of the booth. You probably did notice a little bit of yellow tinge on that bumper bar, but you also may have noticed that I did blend that color. So any of the yellowness is, if anything, touch extra from the clear, but you might have even noticed that the driver's side was a touch on the yellow side. Anyway, I'm not here to save the world. I'm just here to make it look a little bit better. And if their color's out from factory, well, what do you want me to do? Especially on a spot repair. If I was painting the entire bumper bar, more than likely I would have matched the color a little bit better, but for something like that, all I did was even mix up 100 mils of base coat, and the only reason I even mixed that much up is because if you mix too little up, well, then you're just not going to get any accuracy on the mix. I did have to do a couple of minor adjustments to it, but just close enough to match it to the bumper bar, not to the fender itself. Sometimes when I'm doing a whole bumper bar, yes, I will match it to the body of the car, but in that instance it was just like, yep, keep it contained, keep it small, and yeah, that's what I did, and it was a pretty good repair. I'm pretty happy with it. The owner should have been happy with it. And then I decided to paint this bumper bar here with the SRI Pro Lite as well, just mainly to prove to you guys that it can be done. Usually I would just grab my full-size gun, but I also decided to do a side-by-side comparison of the SRI Pro Lite to the ANI R150, which is the gun that I was mentioning earlier on. I'm going to let you guys decide what you guys think of it. For most of the rest of this video, I'm just going to put some tunes on. Let me guys know if you do like the music. If you don't, well, bad luck, because I've had enough of talking. One last thing that I will say is that at the end of me reviewing all these guns, I've got quite a few mini guns that I'm going to be reviewing. I'm going to be reviewing each one of them on their own merits. I'll then be doing a top 8 or 10. I think I've got around 8, so yeah, we'll do like a top 8 minigun video, and then at the end of that we'll be doing a giveaway with a couple of the used spray guns. All I'll say this time is that whoever wins, they're going to be paying the postage themselves, because I have done giveaways in the past, and obviously it cost me money, and it just gets to the point it's like, yeah, well, I'm a bit over it. I'm trying to save up myself. So yeah, if you're not willing to pay a couple of bucks to get the gun sent out to you, well, I'll happily give it to somebody else who is. Anyway, I'll put some tunes on for the rest of this and see you guys at the end. Now you may be able to see here on the SRI Pro Lite, there's a bit of clear coat leaking out between the gun and the base of the pot, and the reason being for that is that I had the seal in the wrong section, and the seal's meant to go on the lower side of that thread. So if you actually take that pot off, you can then actually take that thread out of the pot itself too. It's then got a thread on each side. One side of that thread goes into the base of the top of the gun, one side goes into the base of the pot, and obviously I had the that little gasket on the wrong side. So that gasket is meant to go on the gun side, not the pot side. I hope you understood that. I did, but yeah, you'll probably figure it out once you get one of these, if you do get one. So obviously just gave that a couple of minutes to flash off, went out, mixed up a touch more clear, and back in for the second coat. Again, it's just going to be some raw footage, bit of tunes on in the background, and I'll see you guys at the end.
Into the infinite that we must reach.
So my question for you guys is, for your money, which one is the gun that you would be more likely to purchase? Would you be more likely to spend 150 on an ANI R150, or would you go the $300 to $400 and get the SRI Pro Lite? So that's about it for this video, gunners. Hope you guys have enjoyed watching, and I do thank you for staying around to the end. Now you've seen this video, get out there and paint some shit. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.
Yeah.